Right, so you've been to France and you go into the supermarché, which is just a supermarket, really, but with a strong sense of national judgment. And you are just trying to buy a bit of cheese, aren't you? A perfectly reasonable, innocent thing to do. But then you look at the packaging and you think, what is this? Because one piece has this tiny, aggressively cross-looking red logo. It's like a miniature bureaucratic gargoyle. And this other one has a stamp that looks like an abandoned logo for the European Space Agency. Most people see this and they see a horrifying paper trail. They see French bureaucracy, which is the most terrifying bureaucracy on Earth. It is dressed better than you, and it has a better retirement plan. But what if I told you that this relentless and absolutely unavoidable paperwork is the single reason the world considers French food to be superior? For you see, my children, we, the magnificent French, are not selling food. We are selling national identity, a generous stab of history, a dash of local pride, and on the voluntary labels, a very gentle yet unsolicited note from a cardiologist. So, by the end of this video, you will know what these food labels mean, why we treat a piece of ham like an endangered species, and how to avoid confusing quality, origin, and impending nutritional doom. To properly decode a French food label, you first need to understand one immutable cultural truth. In France, food is not just nice to eat. It is heritage. So the state, the producers, and later the European Union devised a system. The original objective was simple: to construct a series of intricate legal barriers to protect what makes a product authentic. This was also to prevent fraud and to reward traditional know-how, usually involving someone's grumpy grandmother. But also this was to ensure that rural economies remain strong enough to produce more indignant cheeses. This is not a modern marketing whim dreamt up by a man in a turtleneck. A key historical step was a 1935 decree law. This magnificent piece of legislation, designed mostly to protect the French wine market from itself, is what created the Appellation d'origine contrôlée, AOC, framework. Cheese, being slightly less dramatic than wine, only got its proper legal protection in the 1950s. Now, meet the official French quality and origin signs. We call them, no joke, SIQO, Signe d'identification de la qualité et de l'origine. Try saying that after a long lunch. The main ones that will follow you around the refrigerated aisle are AOP, Appellation d'origine protégée, AOC, Appellation d'origine contrôlée, IGP, Indication géographique protégée, Label Rouge, the red label for better, AB, Agriculture biologique, organic, STG, Spécialité traditionnelle garantie. These are not stickers you get from a vending machine. They are state-recognized designations. It is a system designed to protect you from buying lies and to protect producers from being undercut by their less scrupulous, probably non-French neighbors. Now, let's see which is the snobbiest. Let's start with AOP, Appellation d'origine protégée. This is the big, serious, grown-up label. It signifies that a product possesses a profound link to a specific geographical location and to its recognized local know-how. All key stages of production must occur within that strictly defined geographical zone. This is the label that stares at you from the shelf and says, this is not merely some cheese, this is this cheese from this land, made precisely this way, and don't you dare suggest a shortcut. Culturally, this is basically France saying our geography is not just a background feature, it is an ingredient. Let's talk about AOC, Appellation d'origine contrôlée. AOC is the historic French designation, the precursor, the father of the AOP. When applied to food, it satisfies the exact same set of criteria as the AOP. It just serves to protect the name exclusively within France, usually while the product is waiting for its slow, bureaucratic elevation to European AOP recognition. In the wine world, however, AOC remains a revered, recognized traditional term. So, when you see those three calm, unassuming letters on a bottle of Bordeaux, you are looking at centuries of French legal obsession. In other words, the culmination of countless lawsuits and the entire socio-economic structure of a specific region. Okay, let's talk about IGP. Indication géographique protégée. This is also about place, but it has a lighter grip. It is for the products that failed the full, rigorous AOP entrance exam, but are still deemed respectable. The label highlights products whose characteristics are demonstrably linked to a geographic area. The crucial difference is that it only requires at least one stage of production or processing to happen in the defined zone. So the raw ingredients can theoretically have had a small holiday somewhere else. It is still protected across the entire European Union. It is still meaningful. It's just less, shall we say, everything must be born, raised and have its psychoanalysis conducted within 5 kilometers of the same specific hill. And now we get to something very French indeed, which is the long-standing refusal to accept mediocrity, the Label Rouge. This label is not about geography, it is about superior quality compared to a standard off-the-shelf product. This superior quality must be achieved thanks to particular production or manufacturing conditions defined in a strict specification. It was born historically as a defiant response to the horrors of industrialization in agriculture, with its origin dating back to 1960. It was famously first associated with the high-quality, free-range poultry, which, when you think about it, is a great foundation for a national movement. In other words, the Label Rouge is France standing on a soapbox and declaring, not everything has to be mass-produced sadness. We have decided that better is achievable, and we will deploy a national certificate to prove it. AB, Agriculture Biologique, is the French organic label used in dignified coexistence with the EU organic logo, that neat little leaf made of stars. This one guarantees production rules that respect the environment and, thankfully, animal welfare, all operating under a harmonized European framework. At the EU level, the logo can only be used if products adhere to strict conditions, including the famous rule that a processed food must contain at least 95% organic ingredients. The other 5% is presumably existential crisis and water. Let's talk about STG, Spécialité Traditionnelle Garantie. This is a helpful European sign that protects a traditional recipe or method, but specifically not a geographic origin. This is the label that says this is the authentic, time-honored, historically correct way to make this item. Even if the entire story is about technical know-how rather than the specific soil in which the product was conceived. It protects the integrity of the method, which, let's face it, is terribly important if you want your mushroom quiche to be made correctly wherever the mushrooms happen to have been on holidays. And now for the plot twist. Indeed, we arrive at the label that confuses everyone and causes the AOP producers to glare intensely at the Ministry of Health. Nutri-Score. This label answers a completely different question, which is, will this cheese kill me quickly or slowly? It is a front-of-pack nutritional grading system that runs from the virtuous green A all the way down to the shamefully red E. Its sole purpose is to help consumers understand nutritional quality quickly before the desire for cheese takes over entirely, and also to subtly encourage manufacturers to improve product recipes by making them feel judged. An important point, in France it is still voluntary for producers. The producers of E-rated products tend to exercise this voluntary choice with great enthusiasm. And it has been updated. A decree of March 2025 confirms the new framework in France, including what can only be described as necessary adjustments for added fats, beverages, dairy, and starches, because apparently someone realized that milk was scoring worse than diet soda. There is now a transition period for packaging updates. So, if you see a product with a small label indicating a new calculation mention, you are observing bureaucratic excellence in action. So, how to read all this without losing the will to live? Here is the simple life-preserving rule which you should probably get tattooed. An AOP cheese can be culturally priceless, a monument to French ingenuity, and still be nutritionally rich in every conceivable way, including saturated fat. This is not a scandal. That is, quite literally, the entire point of cheese. So, think of it like this. AOP, AOC, IGP. This product has a registered birth certificate proving its deep allegiance to this specific place and tradition. Label Rouge. This is a demonstrably higher quality version of its category, and we dare you to disagree. AB, organic. This follows a specific set of farming rules. STG, this recipe is protected as traditional, which is important for reasons you may not entirely grasp. Nutri-Score, here is the cold, unsentimental nutritional snapshot. And yes, that E is for excitingly high in fat. Different questions, different answers. Same shopping cart. So, yes, France can, at a glance, appear to have stamped its entire cultural identity onto a packet of organic butter that costs slightly too much. And honestly, well, we kind of have, because these labels are not just about the transaction of buying food. They are about the solemn act of protecting a valuable cultural heritage, supporting the dedicated producers, and ultimately giving you, the consumer, a way to choose with confidence in a world full of excellent marketing and occasional certified nonsense. Thank you very much for watching. Indeed, I love you all.